Have a look at this conversation. How was your weekend? Well, it was great. I went to a party, I met some friends, we danced and had a great meal. What did you do on Sunday? I relaxed, I slept until 11 a.m. I ate my breakfast. After that, I watched some old videos. In this conversation, was, went, met, danced, had, did, relaxed, slept, ate, and watched refer to the past tense. We are describing what happened in the past. Hello, I'm your English teacher Suresh. Today we are going to learn everything about past simple, or some people call it simple past tense. How to make positive and negative sentences, yes no questions, WH questions, spelling rules of words ending with ed. We use past form of the verb or verb to talk about past tense after subjects like I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. Like for example, I went, you met, we danced, they had, he did, she relaxed, it rained, and you mentioned the time it happened, like yesterday, last week, last month, or 2 days ago. So these are all finished actions. You may ask me, Teacher Suresh, why do some verbs end with ed but others don't? Well, I'm gonna answer your question. There are two types of verbs, regular verbs and irregular verbs. Verbs which end with ed are called regular verbs. For example, past form of the verb play is played, visit, visited, love, loved, enjoy, enjoyed, cook, cooked, watch, watched. As you can see, all these verbs end with ed, hence they are called regular verbs. Also remember certain rules when we add ed. For words like visit, watch, cook, we just add ed. So they are visited, watched, cooked. For verbs ending with e, you just need to add d. Don't add another e. For example, love, loved, like, liked. Now let's understand the spelling rules for verbs which end with y. If the y is preceded by a vowel sound, we don't delete y. Look at this example. Enjoy. What letter do you see before y? It's O. It's a vowel. So just add ed. Some more examples. Play, played. Stay, stayed. We just add ed. However, if y is preceded by a consonant, the letter y is deleted and e is added before ed. Let's look at some examples. What is the letter you see before y in this word study? It's D, which isn't a vowel sound. So y is deleted and I is added in the same place, followed by ed. Carry, carried. Bury, buried. Hurry, hurried are few more examples. Now let's look at some words which end with some letters that double. Have a look at this verb, grab. How many vowels do you see? There is only one, that is A. It is followed by only one consonant. How many letters do you see after A? It's only one. So B is doubled. You get grabbed. Similarly, wrap, wrapped, shop, shopped, shrug, shrugged. Remember, we don't double if a word has two vowels. Cook becomes cooked. Just K. We do not double K. Visit has two vowels. It is visited. Even if a word has a single vowel, it will not double if the vowel is followed by two or more consonants. Let's have a look at these examples. Walk and watch. In the first verb, the vowel is a is followed by two consonants. In the second word, the letter A is followed by three letters. So the last letter is not doubled. Remember, a word must have a single vowel and it must be followed by a single consonant to double. That's all about spelling rules for words ending with ed. Also, it's extremely important to learn how to pronounce words ending with ed. I have made a comprehensive video about how to pronounce words ending with ed. Learning the pronunciation is as important as learning a new word. People can't understand you if you don't pronounce words correctly. So don't forget to check out this video. Coming back to irregular verbs, these are verbs which do not form a specific pattern while transforming from present to past. The past of buy is bought, think is thought, but the past of drink is drank, sing is sang. There is no particular rule that we can apply here. Sometimes the past is the same as the present, like cut, cut, put, put, hurt, hurt. So you may ask me, teacher, how do we learn past form of these verbs? There is only one way. It is to learn them by heart. I mean, memorize each irregular verb. That's the only way. You may ask me, teacher Suresh, where are all the irregular verbs? Don't worry, I have made everything easy for you. Just take a screenshot of 2 pages and start memorizing. See, I told you, this video is your comprehensive guide to past tense. Now, let me tell you how to form negative forms of past. We take the help of didn't, which is the short form of did plus not. And after didn't, we must use present form of the verb or verb 1. We can't use verb 2 after didn't. Let's learn with some examples. The sentence I went becomes I didn't go in negative, not I didn't went. Similarly, you met becomes you didn't meet. We danced, we didn't dance. They had, they didn't have. He did, he didn't do. She relaxed, she didn't relax. It rained, it didn't rain. I hope it's clear now that we use present verb in negative forms. Now it's time to learn questions for past tense. First, yes/no questions. We take the help of question word did. Remember, we use present form of the verb or verb 1 after did in questions, similar to what we did in negatives. Some people use verb 2 after did. It's a big mistake. For example, did you go anywhere last weekend? Not did you went. Similarly, did we meet the new teacher yesterday? Did they dance on her birthday? Did he have a class in the morning? Did she do homework yesterday? Did it rain last week? Sometimes you may ask questions for yourself or about yourself like, did I miss a class last month? When you're not sure. As you can see, we use only present form of the verb after did, not past form. The short answers for these questions are like this. Yes, you, I, we, they, he, she, it did. No, you, I, we, they, he, she, it didn't. For example, did you drink coffee this morning? You may say, yes, I did. No, I didn't. You may give full answer as well. Yes, I drank 2 cups of coffee. Now it's time for WH questions. WH questions are the ones which start with WH words like where, what, why, who, how. Here, WH is in a different order. When. What you need to do, simply add these WH words before yes/no questions. You will get WH questions like this. Let's see some examples. Did you go is the yes/no question. Now you can add WH words like this. Where did you go? Why did you go? When did you go? How did you go? It's a piece of cake, isn't it? Please note, we use only the present form of the verb after did, even in WH questions. However, remember, when you answer these questions, you must use verb 2 or past form of the verb. Like, for example, where did you go yesterday? I went to cinema. What did you eat for dinner? I ate salad. How did you come here to class today? I came by car. So we use verb 1 in questions and verb 2 in answers. Now it's time to learn be form of the past tense. I mean, the words am, are, is are present form of be, whereas was, were are past form. We use was after subjects like I, he, she, it, and were after you, we, and they. Was and were are generally followed by a noun, an adjective, a place, or age. Like, for example, I was a salesperson in 2018. You were in London last year. We were happy before pandemic. They were hungry yesterday. He was 18 last year. She was gorgeous in college. It was cloudy yesterday. Don't use past form of the verb after was or were like this. I was played. No, no, no. They were drank. No. You may use past participle after was or were, which is a different concept entirely. I don't want to talk about it now. So, if you use an action verb like played, drank, called, went, don't use was or were. Was or were are generally followed by words such as nouns, adjectives, places, like I described earlier. We make the negative form by simply adding not to was or were. Like, for example, I wasn't a salesperson in 2018. You weren't in London last year. We weren't happy before pandemic. They weren't hungry yesterday. He wasn't 18 last year. She wasn't gorgeous in college. It wasn't cloudy yesterday. Here, wasn't is a short form of was plus not, and weren't is a short form of were plus not. Now it's time for questions. It's extremely easy to form questions. First, yes or no questions. Just swap the subject and was were. It will become a yes no question. Let's have a look here. You were in London last year is a sentence. Now swap you and were. It becomes were you in London last year? It's a question. Hooray! So simple. Do the same thing for all. Were we happy before pandemic? Were they hungry yesterday? Was he 18 last year? Was she gorgeous in college? Was it cloudy yesterday? Sometimes you may ask a question about yourself like, was I handsome yesterday? The short answers are like this. Was I handsome yesterday? Yes, you were. No, you weren't. Were you in London last year? Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. Were we happy before pandemic? Yes, we were. No, we weren't. Were they hungry yesterday? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Was he 18 last year? Yes, he was. No, he wasn't. Was she gorgeous in college? Yes, she was. No, she wasn't. Was it cloudy yesterday? Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Another important thing you need to keep in mind is when you give positive short answers, you can't use contraction. I mean, you cannot use the short form like yes, we're, yes, he's. You must expand yes, we were, yes, he was. However, you have to use short forms for negatives like no, we weren't, no, she wasn't. Now let's understand WH questions. Like I said earlier, you have to add WH words before yes no questions to form WH questions. This rule applies to all grammar concepts in English. This is a great hack. Just remember, just add WH words before yes no questions to form WH questions. Let's look at the example of yes no question. Were you in London last year? You may simply add WH words in the beginning. Why were you in London last year? Who were you with in London last year? How were you in London last year? It's as simple as that. Let's look at another yes no question becoming WH question. Was he happy? You may ask, why was he happy? How was he? Who was he happy with? When was he happy? And so on. Now let's practice all the questions with a situation. I will say I went to Goa. You ask me questions like, when did you go? I say, I went last month. How did you go? I went by bus. Who did you go with? I went with students. How was the weather? It was sunny. Where did you stay? We stayed at Arambul Beach. What was the best thing about the trip? The waves were amazing. You can practice like this with friends to become perfect in this grammar. Tell your friend a situation that happened in the past and ask them to bombard you with lots of questions. If you are a group, tell your friends to ask challenging questions to make it fun. Something like the game of hot seat. A person sits in the middle and a group asks difficult questions. So that's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll try to answer. I'm your English teacher Suresh. Goodbye.